And by the time we leave this place, we will be different and will have benefited something out of it. Just to start, when you look at what we have here, we see a woman here looking at her husband and wondering what exactly the husband is actually thinking, and wondering if the husband is actually cheating. Does he still love her, or there's something that is wrong? And he sees the man being worried and all that, and he is thinking, this man is thinking maybe of leaving her and all that. And she ends up even crying, not knowing what exactly is happening in his life. But meanwhile, what is in his mind is that his motorcycle can't start and he can't figure out what exactly the problem is. And this is actually essentially a mirror of what actually happens in a lot of cases between men and women. And sometimes this actually causes conflict between husband and wife, or between girlfriend and boyfriend. So as an icebreaker, can we all go to the charts? If you are a woman, can you write maybe 5 things that you know or that you think you know about a man, about your husband or your boyfriend? And if you are a man, write on the charts at least 5 things that you know or that you think you know about a woman, about your wife or your friend. We have 1 minute to write. Anything that comes into your mind, just...
Everyone is coming to the program.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for the day you've given us today. Please provide those who do not have it. In Jesus' mighty name I pray, amen.
Amen. You see me to pray.
Yes, Mother.
Come on, pour the water. Brother.
All right. What have you been up to?
Okay, so we have received, okay, we have received from 3 people. Okay. Okay, so you can continue writing while we go through. So we'll take a few minutes to go through some material, and then after that we'll then go through the questions and some of the issues that we have covered there. Then we'll be able to cover in terms of the charts. So someone said that marriage is a workshop where the husband works and the wife shops. So ideally, God said a man should work, a man should provide. So when the husband then does what he has been commanded to do, then the wife has got the privilege of shopping. Someone said that the most successful man is one that can provide all the financial needs of his wife. And the most successful woman is the one that can find such a man. So I'm not sure as men where exactly we stand. And then someone then said, a wife is cute when she is mute. So the less she talks, the more cute he appears to the husband. And the husband is honey when he gives money. And then a woman, she needs a man with a good fortune. And a man needs a woman with a good past. So a man is great to the woman when he is making more money. And a woman is very good to a man, especially when she has a very good past, which means she has less experience in terms of the relationships that she has gone through before they meet. This is the conversation between a son and his father. The son says, Papa, what's the difference between mother's tears and wife's tears? The father says, mother's tears hit your heart, and wife's tears hit your pocket. So when as a husband, you make your wife cry, you know you are going to suffer in your pocket, because as part of apologizing, you will need to spend. And part of, especially for young adults, a person who surrenders when he is wrong is honest. A person who surrenders when he is not sure is wise. And a person who surrenders even if he is right is a husband. So when you are a husband, you need to understand that it is not important whether you are right or you are wrong. So in an argument, you are the one that is wrong and you need to apologize. Because if you don't, then your pocket might be hit. And essentially, it is important for us as husbands to actually understand that women need to be pampered, they need to be taken care of. And as someone said, on average, a man spends 30% of his life sleeping, 29% of his life working, and his balance is spent apologizing to his wife. Why? Because in any argument, he is the one that is wrong. And then someone said it is really funny and hilarious when wife thinks she is punishing her husband by not talking to him for days. So normally, women need that care, they need that attention, they need a friend to be with. And for that reason, they find it as a punishment when a man withdraws, when a man doesn't talk to them. So sometimes they have got the temptation for a woman to withdraw and not talk to the man, thinking that she's actually punishing him. But in most cases, he is not. Now, when we talk about strengthening our marriages based on our differences as husband and wife, as men and women, it is critical for us to understand what exactly the difference between a man and a woman is. And we need to understand that the way a man, the way he speaks, the way he acts, is actually not the same way that a woman responds to the same stimuli. So what a man will receive or will send and process in terms of information, it is completely different from how the woman will actually handle the same thing. So when you look at emotionally, mentally, men and women, they work actually from very different perspectives. When you expose them to the same information, the two will actually treat that same information in two different ways. So the men, a man and a woman, they think, they act. It basically lies in the heart of the conflict that we find between men and women, because there is a misunderstanding in how a woman or a man actually thinks, how they perceive things, and how they actually communicate. And because of those differences, if a man and a woman, they don't understand each other, it can result in them not understand each other. And that can be a source of confusion. It can be a source of
de homem e mulher, às vezes o resultado disso termina numa confusão ou mesmo divórcio.
When we look at Genesis 1, verse 27, so God created mankind is in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. So when you look at that verse, God says he created male and female. So the two are actually different. And God did that purposefully. He had a reason why he actually created them differently. And today we basically want to understand why they were created differently and what exactly the implications are when we look at relationships, because this actually affects the quality and the success of relationships between a man and a woman. And it is always very important for us in relationships to actually understand those differences and actually how those differences can be used to improve our communication and how it can be used to improve our relationships. When I look at the word female, I take it that it means it is a fair male. And what that means is that she is more beautiful, she's attractive, she's good looking, she's a refined model of a man. God came in to refine what he had created when he was creating man. And she's a far better model than what you see in a man, both physically, both emotionally, and also both spiritually. So she's more emotionally connected than a man. She's more spiritually sensitive than a man, and she's also better physically. A man is masculine, he is physical and spiritual, but is not as spiritually sensitive as a woman. And also emotionally, a man is not that connected when it comes to his emotions. And the question that you need to ask yourself, what are those differences? Physical, emotional, psychological, and also spiritual between a man and a woman? And why did God create those differences? What was the reason, and how does it affect our relationships? Ask yourself, why do women look different to men? Why are they more beautiful? And why do they worry and concern themselves more about their hair, about their face, their nails, their lips, their cheeks, their ears? Why do they always look beautify themselves, and how does that affect the relationship? When you look at Matthew 5, verse 27 and 28, the Bible says, anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery. He doesn't say anyone that looks at a man lustfully, but it is actually looking at a woman lustfully. Why only looking at a woman lustfully? Why not also a man? And what's the implication of that? And why is it that women want to be loved and men are mostly interested in sex? That's the question that you need to ask yourself. And what are the source of these differences in terms of the needs, in terms of the fears, in terms of the motivations, and all that? And because of that, what then are the roles of a man? What are the roles of a woman? How do women look at love? How do men look at love? And what are the fears or the thoughts that go through a woman? What are the thoughts that go through a man? So when you look at our differences, you need to understand that those differences are complementary, not competition. So you need to focus on ensuring that you take advantages of the synergies that are there between a man and a woman. Take advantages of the strengths in a man, take advantages of the strengths in a woman, because when you put in these two, it will actually cover up for the weaknesses that are there between the two. God made us differently because he didn't want to waste resources. If we are all strong on a particular area, it really doesn't help. But what God has done is that he makes a man strong here and a woman stronger there. When you bring these two together, you then create a strong team But essentially, without understanding that, you may actually find yourself working against the design that God has put in, and you might not support each other. It is critical for us to understand these differences, understand our roles, and understand how we can actually support each other in our differences, and understand why God designed it this way so that we can use it for our advantages. So when you look at the sources of these differences, they basically come in from the physical, our brains, how our brains are wired, how we approach money, how we approach relationships, how our emotions are, how we approach tasks, how we talk, our needs, our values, our motivations, our responses to what we're exposed to, our activities, and also our affections. When you look at in terms of insecurities, there is always doubt inside the heart or the mind of a man, and also the mind of a woman. But when you look at women in general, about 80%, science says about 80% of women, their insecurities sound like this. Does he love me? Am I special? Do I come first to him? Will he choose me again if he had the opportunity? So the question is, am I worthy to be loved for who I am inside, not for what I have? So that's the question that is always in a, and that actually where the needs of a woman actually arises from. That is the reason why a woman always wants to be told that she is special, that she is loved, that she is beautiful, that she is attractive to him. So she always has this insecurity. And that is the reason why a woman needs to come, a man needs to come in and help the woman so that she feels secure, she feels protected, and she doesn't feel threatened by situations or by circumstances. When you look at a man, the man is the insecurity is different. He is looking at his capacity. Is he able? Is he adequate? Is he a good husband? Is he a good father? Is he a good businessman? Is he successful? That's what he is basically looking at. It is the reason why for a woman, it is always critical for a woman to encourage his man, to respect him, to honor him, and be there for him. Even where he is failing, you need to be there. Don't focus on telling him that he has failed, that he is failing or is not doing what he needs to do, or fail to honor him and respect him. It actually kills him, because a man has got ego, so he needs to hear and he needs to be encouraged for him to move forward and do better. Because when you look at the market out there, there are a lot of challenges that he faces, and sometimes he doubts that he can be a winner and that he can be a provider. So as a woman, you need to be there to reassure him and tell him that he is able to provide, that he is able to be a winner. And for a man, he is there for the woman emotionally and help her to feel that she is loved, compliment her, send her messages of love, send her flowers, buy her presents, buy her chocolates, take her out, assure her that she is special and she'll be treated special. So she should never feel that there is any other woman that is better than her, or that is treated better than her. When you look at in terms of activities, in terms of our brain, how a man's brain is wired to how a woman's brain is wired, women have 11% more neurons than a man's brain when it comes to language and hearing. In a lot of cases, men will prefer active, aggressive, and competitive activities, while these women prefer something that is more relational. They want situations where they are together, talking, they relate and all that. So when you look at kids, when they are playing, you will actually find boys, they are more interested in physical and more aggressive and more competitive activities. So their games will be more of Beckley's, where they are winners and losers. But when you look at girls that are playing, they are more relational and inclusive in their games. So their games are more collaborational. They take turns. They allow each other to play and allow the other to play. And they always want to create that situation where there's a mother, where there's a father, where there's a child. So they are all relating. It's a family, it's a society, and all that. But for boys, it's all about aggression, it's all about competition, it's about winning and losing. And then when we look at the brain, a female's brain is wired to think things through externally. She wants to talk. So when there are challenges, when there are problems, she wants to speak to the men. She wants to explain herself. She wants to share her views. She wants to share the problem. She wants a hug. She wants a shoulder to cry on. She basically prefers that emotional state and all that. But for a man, whenever there is conflict, he wants to move away. He wants to withdraw. He wants to think about and formulate a solution for that challenge. And in a lot of cases, this causes chaos because the man wants to move away, but the woman actually wants to talk. So she wants to be supported. She wants to share what she's going through. But for the man, because he is looking for a solution, so he wants to withdraw and have a clear mind so that he can think logically and find what the solution to the problem is. And in a lot of cases, this then causes conflict. In a lot of cases, for men, the problem needs to be solved. So they are looking for a logical solution. But for a woman, the fact that we have talked about it, the fact that she has shared, the fact that we have spoken about it, half of the problem, or sometimes the whole problem is gone. But for him, for as long as there is no solution, then there is still a problem. When we look at risk-taking, men naturally are risk takers. Women naturally are risk avoiders. And in a family, you then need to be a team, because in a lot of cases, men can literally be reckless. There's a lot of money that can be lost when a man gets into very risky investments. So he then needs the woman to be there as a sounding board to help him to check in the areas that he has actually ignored or the areas that he has overlooked. So when you then work as a team, you can then cover each other in that. When it comes to decision making, men use their logic. They go through the issues, they go through the data, they want to see and come to a logical conclusion. They don't want their emotions to interfere with the decision that they are taking. But when it comes to women, they use less of logic, less of data, and less of logical thinking. For them, it's about instinct, it's about intuition, it's about being sensitive about the situation that is at hand. So in those kind of cases, there may be conflict because the man is saying, but prove, show me why should we take that decision? And the woman doesn't have the proof. She doesn't have anything to back up her decision. But her instinct, her intuition, her spiritual sensitivity, it may be telling her what the correct decision is, even though she doesn't have anything to back her up. And when you work together as a team, it can then help you to actually make the right decision. Because sometimes a logical decision might not be the best. And in a lot of cases, it actually can make the men to sound hard-hearted and all that, without any sensitivity to the emotional issues that are at hand. So a man uses his brain, the woman uses her heart. So when you then combine the brain and the heart, you can then come up with a more rational decision. When you look at friendship, women tend to gain more emotional support from their friends, from their colleagues, and even from the husband. Women are oriented towards people and relationships. It is actually the reason why we have more men suffering from high blood pressure than men. And even strokes, there are more men that suffer from strokes than you find with women, because they have more emotional support than men actually have. So when you look at a man, their orientation and friendships, they revolve around common interests or goals, objectives, solutions to problems. So a man is looking for people that will help them when they have got problems. It also revolves around work. So what that does is that a man really doesn't have so much of sources of emotional support. In a lot of cases, the man only has the wife as the sole emotional support. But for women, they will have the family and everyone else. When we then look at our needs, when you look at Ephesians 5, verse 25 to 33, the Bible says a man must love his wife as Christ loved the church. Why the Bible has given that command is because the number one need for a woman is affection. Her number one need is love. So she wants to have that sense of belonging. She wants someone that will tell her that she is loved. So she wants to feel loved. She wants to feel special. She wants that attention, and she wants to know that she's a priority, that she's the only one in the life of the husband. But for a man, the most important thing is respect. So he wants to have a wife that has got the right attitude, a wife that submits to him, a wife that will praise him, that will honor him, that will encourage him. Secondly, a man, the most important thing for him is sex. And sex is not just a physical need. It is a primary a need that actually connects the man to his emotional need. A man cannot feel emotionally without being satisfied sexually. And in a lot of cases, when a man is given sex, he feels that the woman desires him. He feels that he is being affirmed as someone that is attractive, that is being accepted. And when a woman says no, the man actually feels rejected. It is important for me to put in a qualification here. The qualification is that this only applies to marriage. So before you get married, sex is one thing that a woman needs to keep away from her fiancé, from her boyfriend. And the reason is simple. A man is a hunter, and it is important to keep him hunting. And he needs to be kept hunting till the day he commits that he is going to live with you all his life. So he needs to commit to a marriage before you commit to sex. Because the moment he satisfies his hunting instincts, he can then proceed to the next. So in the same way that we normally say, don't pay the contractor before he is on site. Don't pay the contractor before he has finished his works. So in the same vein, never allow a man to be paid sexually before he has done what he needs to do, and that is to marry you. Otherwise, you will feel rejected when you allow, and then the next day he leaves you. Right. When you look at men, men are physical. They are more affected by what they see. And men need to see the beauty in a woman. It is the reason why a man always wants to see his woman attractive. And it's also the reason why you find women worrying about how they look, how their faces are, the makeup, their nails, their cheeks, everything about them, the way they dress and everything. So they want to look beautiful because they need to satisfy the eyes of their men. And because of this, that's where there's the temptation for adultery for the men. And God is saying, you can commit adultery through your eyes, because he knows what a sense of sight actually means to a man. So when he looks at a woman lustfully, he has already committed adultery in his heart. God knows the man. For women, it's all about the emotional support. So they enjoy receiving or giving hugs. They want that expression of affection from the men. So she wants to hear and feel that she is loved by what she actually experiences from his men. This is the summary of the other differences. So men need to be told again and again. In a lot of cases, you actually find a woman will tell a man, please, can you change this bulb? And the woman actually expects the man then in a few minutes to have done it. But in a lot of cases, the woman will need to repeat, remind before a man will actually do the task. It is the reason why in a lot of cases, a woman can send a man to the shops and say, go and buy me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When the man gets to the shops, he can't remember anything that he was sent to buy. And in a lot of cases, the man can buy the wrong things, or he need to phone back to find out what exactly he was sent to do. For me, my wife knows when she's sending me to the shops, she will write the list of all the items on WhatsApp. So when I get there, I pull out my list and buy. Right. I think for the sake of our time, let me not go through all these other differences. I think it would be better for us to go through the questions. But before we go through the questions, I want to emphasize in terms of the needs. I think for a man, affirmation, encouragement, feeling a woman that will never tear him down, that will never discourage him, but a woman that will always be there to make sure that the husband feels accepted, encouraged, and being inspired to keep on going on to what they are doing. And for a woman, for men, pleasant words are like honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the bones. A man needs to talk. A man needs to open his mouth. He needs to tell his woman that she is loved, that she is beautiful, that she is attractive, that she is number one, that she smells good, that she looks good, and that he is interested. You need to be there. You need to show that you appreciate. And for the woman also, make sure that all the time you look attractive, you look beautiful, and maintain that attractiveness. No matter how many years you have been married, always make sure you are doing something that will arouse his interest. Make sure you look sexy, that you look captivating to him. And for the men, tell her what you see. Let her experience what exactly you are seeing as a man. Thank you. Let me end here, and then we can then go to the questions.
Well, thank you, Brother Bugosi. That was just great. There's a lot of meat. Someone is asking for the presentation. So then I'll ask if you could then share it in the chat, if it's possible, just load it in. And if not, we can share this in the two WhatsApp groups, which is the couples group and the young adults later on.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
I'll try to share. I'm not sure whether I'll be able to share.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I fail, then here, then I'll then send on the WhatsApp group. Yeah.
The groups. Okay. Thank you very much. Well, there's a question on the chat, which is, what's your take on gender roles?
Okay, so in terms of roles, I think one of the things that are there when it comes to the roles, some of those roles actually arise out of how God designed us and what God actually called us to do. So a man has been told that we need to provide, that we need to lead, that we need to protect. So those roles are scriptural, and there is nothing that you can do about it. So you literally need to perform the roles as God has actually given to us. And the woman has been asked to help. And when she has been asked to help, when she comes in, there needs to be something that she can help on. So when I look at the vision for the man, it is the basis upon which a woman is actually going to come in and help. And when he finds that the man does not have vision, there is likely to be a discord, because she doesn't know what to help on. And by the end of the day, she will also then come up with her own vision, because she can't just stay like that. So by the end of the day, you then have two visions in the house, and that will cause division in the house. So when I look at the scriptural roles, let's play our roles as God has put them, and also as God has designed us to do. There are other traditional roles, cooking, and all sorts of other things. I think some of them, obviously, there will be one between the two that has got a more inclination to do those things. So that person will do them, but as a couple, we also help. So as a husband, you can also help to do the plates. You can help maybe to iron the clothes, or to cook if you're a good cook. So you don't refuse to cook just because you are the husband. But sometimes you are also there to help her, especially in the earlier years of marriage, when you don't have kids. Maybe you don't even have a maid, because in most cases during your honeymoon stage, you also want to be just the two of you. So you then help each other, because you may both be working. So she's helping financially. You also need to come in handy and also help on other areas, right? I hope, Leroy, that answers your question.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So there is another question.
Yes. Could I just suggest, sorry, brother, because there's a hand from Paloma. Would you mind taking that and then going back to the chat?
Okay. Paloma, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Brother Bukowski. I could relate with everything that you were saying. So now in the last point where you mentioned that you have to repeatedly just reinforce to your husband to do something, right? Whereas you told them 2 weeks ago, right? And for me, what I find that is then I get frustrated, and then I become mean. Right, because I told him, can you please put the luggage bag at the the aesthetic, because we have a part in our bathroom where you just can pack things away, right? And I'll tell him, can you please put the luggage bags there? And there I am tripping over this luggage bag, and I've been telling him over and over again, and then I get frustrated. So how do you then encourage him to see the need to do the thing when you ask him?
Okay. So there are two solutions. Number one, on your side, you need to be patient with him, because that's who God created in him, right? So you need to be patient with him. Tell him, don't get tired of telling him that you need to do this. I ask you to do that. So don't get frustrated. Right? Because he is not going to hear you the first time that you tell him. But over time, he will also see that he needs to act upon it. On the other hand, obviously, we also, part of the reason why we're here is also to highlight these issues and what problems it can actually create in a marriage or in a relationship. So he also understands then how much frustration you also feel when he is not acting on something that we have told him repeatedly. So while he is also trying to fix that, on your end, also make sure that you don't frustrate it too much. Be patient with him. He will get it right. Right?
Yes.
I heard some giggling there. Yeah. Sorry. I as you go back to the chat, Brother Bukosi, I think it's quite key as well to, because you've highlighted a lot about manhood and womanhood and how a man functions in marriage and how a man is just naturally. The same you did the same thing for women as well. So in marriage, I was just going to say it's also key, just looking at everything you've said, that the roles in marriage are actually complementary, right? Because they need each other. The man needs the woman and the woman needs the man. That's how they complement. They don't complete each other, they just complement each other. They're equal in the eyes of God. And they are also, because it's so complementary, they are beneficial differences, right? So those differences are meant to bring benefits. I thought I'd highlight that. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next question is saying, isn't saying sorry when you are not wrong reinforcing and incentivizing bad behavior of the spouse? Is it helpful? Doesn't it have the unintended negative effect? So the first thing that you actually need to understand is that for men to start with, it is very difficult for a man to say, I am sorry. And is one of the greatest assets or the greatest strengths that a man can have when he is able to say sorry, especially when he says sorry when he is right. Right? Because what that says is that even though you have wronged me, I still love you. And remember, women, we say it, they are emotional beings. When she is emotional, she is making decisions and she is talking out of emotions. And what she is saying is not what she is thinking. What she is saying is what she is feeling. For you as a man, what you are saying is not what you are feeling. You are saying what you are thinking. So you are using your logic. And why will it be difficult when we are using your logic to find the words that will fix the conflict that is there? It is not difficult to say, I am sorry. And then tomorrow or next week or next month, when you are now happy, you can then sit down and say, my wife, you know what, sweetheart, that day, I think you were wrong here. I can guarantee you that you will get a completely different reaction than when emotions are running high. And remember, as a man, God has called you a groom. And the reason why you are a groom is because you have got the requirement to groom your wife. You have to remove the spots, you have to remove the wrinkles, you have to remove everything in her till she is washed to be as white as snow. So if she has got any challenges, any problems, if there is something that you don't like about her, you are at fault because you failed to groom her to become the kind of wife that you want, the one that does not have wrinkles, one that you can present to yourself as a glorious wife, the same way that Christ then presents his church as a glorious church. So it is your responsibility to help her, to groom her. Why? Because at that point of conflict, she is too emotional. So don't expect her to then think rationally and say, okay, I'm the one that is wrong. No, help her and say, I'm sorry. And mean it that you are sorry. And in a lot of cases, sometimes what women need most is your support. Not for you to show her that she is wrong, not for you to point to her where she is wrong. What you need is to support her, to be with her through that period of conflict or crisis. And then when everything is okay, you can then come in to say, how do we fix your wrongs? How do we fix your behavior? How do we fix the things that caused the conflict? That way, your relationship is going to be strong. Otherwise, you'll fight all the way. And especially for married people, you need to understand why God created men to almost be dependent on sex. It is for you to behave, because the nicer you are to her, the more you will get. So because you are planning for your future, you are preparing yourself so that you are not denied. So you must then have the motivation to be nice to the girl. So because of that motivation is the reason why then you must have the motivation to say sorry. And then you can then deal with the issues later on. I don't know if there's anyone that also has a comment on that.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to comment on rather being wrong than trying to prove that although you're right, just apologizing. I was actually looking for a scripture for this, and I found 1 Corinthians 6:7. It may not be directly addressing a marriage, but it's kind of makes sense. And it says, just looking for the NIV version to make it simple. Right. It says, the very fact that you have lawsuits among you, so like I said, it doesn't necessarily address the marriage scenario, but the very fact that you have lawsuits among you means you have been completely defeated already. Why not rather be wronged? Why not rather be cheated? Right. So not to advocate wrongdoing, but I think it's a question of submission. You know, in Ephesians 5, I think it's verse 21 that talks about submitting. So not just the wife submitting to the husband, but it says submit one to another. So I think it's this submission, even though you're wrong. Like, for instance, Jesus was right all the way, but he submitted his life so that we can have something better. So in the same way, a husband would probably have to do that, submit himself in that way, so that there's a benefit in the marriage. And the wife too, although she may be right, it's just better to submit so that there's a mutual benefit. You know, one thing that we'll probably talk about later is there are even times where if things escalate, if no one wants to take a blame, no one wants to, submit, you may be right, but you end up being wrong because of how you handle the issue, maybe in the tone that you used, whatever it is. So I think it's really a question of submission here. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there is also a question that don't we then risk falling into a manipulation trap? I think where we are coming from is that when you say you are sorry, you are saying, because I love you, I am prepared to tolerate what you have done. And because of that expression of love, it actually encourages the woman to do better next time. Why? Because there is no woman that will actually take advantage of a man that is demonstrating that he is the best that ever have hoped to have. So because a lot of women, they hear how other men behave, what other husbands are doing and all that. When she then looks at her husband, what he does, how he says sorry even when she is not, the woman will also want to keep such a man, and she will want to honor such a man. She will want to encourage such a man. She will want to love such a man instead of actually manipulating. She's more likely to love him because she wants to keep him, because he is an asset. Right. I'm not seeing another question here. There is one suggestion here. It says, I think it would be fair if women could give us their views or how they ought to be understood or loved. Women presenting themselves. I'm not sure I understand the last part there. But Leroy, can you clarify here what you mean, women presenting themselves? Do you want a woman to tell you that they love you?
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Span. It's like sort of a way, unlike talking about them, like giving themselves the chance to maybe to explain like themselves, who they are or how they ought to be treated themselves. I truly am grateful for your input on trying to describe them, but it seems to be like a complex subject about them. So it would be fair if they are to speak for themselves and like us speaking for them. Thank you.
Okay. Maybe there's a woman that wants to. Paloma, do you want to tell us how you want TK to love you? What?
Yeah.
What I can tell you, Leroy, is that you don't really need to understand her. You need to love her. That's what your role is. You don't need to understand her because she changes every day. If she says, I love a cake, she doesn't mean I love a cake from day 1 up to day 30, from January to December. She may be loving a cake today, tomorrow she might not love the cake. So you need to continuously learn your woman from day 1 of being a girlfriend right up to the time you depart this earth. You will still be learning a woman. A man is who he is from day 1. He doesn't change, but a woman changes every day. And your responsibility is to understand who she is today and love her the way she is. Right. Paloma, you want to help?
Yes, and I think you, Brother Nkosi, you actually put it so well. And I'm going to talk from a very personal view from my relationship with Taka. And for me is how I need to be loved is I want Taka to understand sometimes other things that I cannot express, right? And which means for him, it's good for him to actually get to know me better. So I think it was 2 days ago, and I woke up and I was really, really cranky. So I think Taka has taken the time to understand that normally when I'm cranky, it's because I haven't expressed something that's eating me up. So what he did is he saw I was cranky. I was being mean to him when he was asking questions. I wouldn't answer them. And he just came up to me and was like, oh, I realized that you're actually cranky today. Is there something that's eating you up that you would like to talk about, you know? And that for me was like, oh my goodness, yes, I want to say something, right? And so I think one of the things that maybe you can do, Leroy, is, in my perspective, is really try to understand who your woman is, you know, and how they operate. And sometimes, yes, we say that we love cake, but that doesn't mean that we love cake every day. You know, sometimes I change, you know, and is also being flexible to know that the same woman today is not going to be the same woman tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other woman that wants to express, that wants to help Leroy?
As we wait for the sisters, ladies, women to express themselves, afterwards I'd just like to share some statistics about success for marriage. manhood, obviously looking at manhood and womanhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. When she doesn't evaluate that aspect in the man, what then does the man do? I'm not sure, Tawanda, what you mean there. Can you explain?
Okay. Evening, everyone. I typed that question when we were discussing the issue of men who actually do apologize, and you were commenting that a woman who sees this will end up valuing that aspect in a man and try to do better next time. So my question was based on that. What if then she doesn't evaluate it or value that aspect in a man? What then do we continue doing the same thing, or then it falls to what Brother Bennett said about the manipulation trick? So yeah, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, if I understand you well, if you get to a place where you apologize, when you are happy, you explain, and it continues that way, she doesn't see the value in that, she doesn't appreciate, and she still continues in the same behavior. I think then there are other underlying issues that needs to be fixed in the relationship or in the marriage, because it's not just that. There are more fundamental issues that needs to be fixed in the relationship, and you definitely need to fix them. And if those things actually manifest themselves before you get married, you need to fix them before you get married, because it's not going to get better just because you have married. They need to be fixed way before, so that when you get in there, then you are not going to have those issues coming up again.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so if there are no other questions, then I will hand over to Deacon Emitio, and then he can take us through the statistics.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Bukosi. There's actually a book I read last month, which is called 10 Things a Husband Needs from His Wife by Aaron Smalley. And it's an interesting book. Simply to add what you just said about Tawanda's question, in this book, it actually says what submission is not, right? So what submission is not. Submission is not blind obedience, right? Submission is not about blindly following your spouse, all right? And then submission is not silence or denying opinions. This is one that could never work out if we simply just shove other people's opinions or our opinions down. Submission is not abusive, right? Submission is not demanded. So we can't demand submission. Submit to me. No, that's not right. And submission is not manipulative, right? That's quite interesting to note. And then some statistics about how marriages could work much better. These are various studies that were done in the United States, and it's actually based on how or when men are positively influenced by their wives, their helpmates. So one, men make more money, married men, that is. And this is from a Virginia Commonwealth University study, which was done, and found that men earn 22% more than their similarly experienced but single colleagues. Two, being married speeds up the next promotion. Married men receive higher performance ratings and faster promotions than bachelors. This is a 2005 study of the US Navy officers. Women often, this is 3 now, women often keep men out of trouble. According to a recent US Department of Justice report, male victims of violent crimes are nearly 4 times more likely to be single than married. 4, married men are more satisfied in bed. In 2006, British researchers reviewed the sexual habits of men in 36 countries and found that in every country, married men had more sex. Obviously, it has to be that way. That's my addition to this line. And then 5, married men have a better chance of surviving cancer. In a Norwegian study, divorced and never married male cancer patients had higher mortality rates than married men. And then the last one, married men live longer. A UCLA study found that people in generally excellent health were 88% more likely to die over the 8-year study period if they were single. 88% more higher chance, right, of dying for the singles. So this is not to speak bad about the single people. It's just to indicate that, there are great benefits in marriage. Obviously, a very functional marriage, not dysfunctional. I thought I would share those statistics to get our brains going. Okay. As we draw to a close, thank you very much for everyone, to everyone for participating. Thank you to Brother Bukosi for this great topic and the material that you shared and your experience. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I see there's some comments here. Oh, yes, you want the book's reference, Tawanda, is that it? I'm looking at the, right. So this is, here's the title, 10 Things a Husband Needs from His Wife. And this is, the author is Erin Smalley, E-R-I-N, Smalley, small, and then L-E-Y. It is an interesting book. I'm not sure it's for singles, but yeah, it's an interesting book. One other book that I would probably recommend is The Birth Order book. Now, this one is a great book. I can tell you that. It's called The Birth Order book, and it's written by Dr. Kevin Leman. It's a great book. All right. So, and then I see there's another comment. Since men are not very emotional, can't they express them or be vulnerable to their better halves than hiding them? Is expressing themselves showing a sign of weakness, or it's just a folklore that is just out there? Okay, that's a great question, Leroy. Brother Bukosi, feel free to interject at any time. I think expressing yourself is one of the greatest gifts anyone can have, whether male or female. It's no sign of weakness whatsoever. We have to be able to express ourselves. I think the question remains, the question that remains is how we express ourselves. We need to understand the environment. We need to understand the time in which we are saying whatever we need to say. So keeping in mind the right way to communicate and express ourselves. But it's no weakness that if a man expresses himself in a detailed and deep way, it's actually important that a man does that. Yeah, so that's how I would take that.
I will also say that naturally men they are very conservative with words, so they talk less, not just in expressing their emotions or feelings. No, in everything, men have very few words to say than women. So women will always have paragraphs and paragraphs to say than when it comes. And when it comes to expressing emotions, it's a skill that men need to learn. And it's not an easy skill, and a lot of men actually fail to learn that skill. But when you do, then you best lover to your wife, because you not just express your emotion, but you will also express your feelings towards her. Because in a lot of cases, where men fail to tell the girlfriend or the wife or the fiancé that you love her, that she's attractive, that she's beautiful, that she's smart, that the dress that she's putting on or the hair that she has just put on is they are all good or whatever. In a lot of cases, they go all the way to do it, but we don't notice. So when you then learn that skill to express yourself, express your emotions, it's a great skill to have. It's not a weakness. It's just a weakness that men can't express themselves. When you do express yourself, it's a strength.
Thank you so much, Brother Bukosi, once again. This has been very beneficial and really great to pick up on these critical matters about manhood and womanhood. And I think, unfortunately, because of the time that we have for these sessions, I feel that that we sort of scratched the surface, but it's still very good. So thank you, and thanks to everyone. Shall we close with a word of prayer? And I would like to kindly ask Pastor Luis if you could please pray for us to close.
Ok, shall we pray? Vamos orar. Senhor nosso Deus, nosso Pai, queremos lhe dar a graça mais uma vez nesta noite, por esta sessão. Nós acreditamos que Deus está colocando tudo no lugar, de acordo com a tua palavra, estamos alinhando, estamos aperfeiçoando. Senhor, capacite-nos cada vez mais, dê-nos sabedoria, dê-nos inteligência, dê-nos conhecimento à luz da tua palavra, Senhor, para que possamos, na verdade, ter famílias sólidas na palavra de Deus, que cresçam na dimensão do Espírito Santo. Queremos agradecer ao Senhor, deixando tudo ao teu cuidado, no nome de Jesus. Amen. Amen. Obrigado.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Obrigado.
Thank you. Good evening.
Yeah, let's look out for the next session, which is Wings and Principles of Womanhood, which will take place tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I'm hoping to hear a lot more from the sisters, the ladies, and the women in the group. Thank you very much and good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.